All of these pieces were done for television in the 60s. The first piece is Cool Hand Luke, which is about restrained passion. You don't have to know that as an audience member because Cool Hand Luke has something so mysterious and kind of tender and aching and elegant.
Everything is so articulate, it's very sensual, and it has a little bit of magic to it.
The second one is, it's either called Tijuana Shuffle or Mexican Shuffle. It's been named both, so either one will work.
It's kind of like we're just coming of age, just coming into our youth, and so we're finding those different things about our sexuality, and we're following behind this girl and trying to keep up with her, but having a good time.
And it shows this funny wit that he had, that you were like the cat that ate the canary, and had a little tiny satisfied grin, thinking that he'd gone away with it, but there's a little yellow feather right here.
It's this really intense, physical, high energy piece, and you're kicking and you're flipping and you're jumping and you're angry and you're smiling and there's a hat and there's a cigarette and you're putting it out. And then all of a sudden you just get to do this really kind of perfectly timed comedic walk, and like you can feel how perfect it is.
The third one is Mexican Breakfast. And it's just about sheer joy. The fun of being young, the fun of contemporary social dancing at the time.
You're trying to be cool, you're trying to do your hip just so, your hand just right. Your mind is going 90 miles an hour, and then you just have to take it back, look at the audience, and give them a little wink and say, hey, it's okay.
And these pieces, all three of them, were done for various variety television shows. Ed Sullivan, Bob Hope Comedy Hour, Colgate Comedy Hour. So they were fashioned sheerly as a moment in a whole variety of acts, but especially for that moment. Not something that they had done on stage and put on there, which is also wonderful to do, but specifically for this show, for that moment. So unless you had watched, say, Ed Sullivan or Bob Hope in the 60s, early 60s, you would never see it, and it's so good.
These are early works of Bob's that were created very specially and very specifically for his wife, Gwen Verdon, and she was an amazing dancer that started them at the time on these variety shows in the 60s.
Bob's work is sensual, but it's got this wonderful, ironic taste to it if it's done well. And it's being good in your own skin, having fun with your own sensuality, and no excuses, you know, and you're not being crude or crass, because if this work becomes crude or crass, you're doing it wrong. It's just allowing an individual to enjoy what nature gave them.
There's one point where we turn with our backs to the audience and all we're doing is shaking our hips, but we're staring back at the audience like, oh yeah, you saw that? You like that? Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna stop.
I think Bob gets associated with darkness a lot because he did deal on that side of the fence, but he also was charming, dear, witty, tender, wore his heart on his sleeve, of which he was always trying to cover it up, but he was more vulnerable than most of us, and I know he tried to control all the sentiment, but you could tell in these three numbers that he can't.